All right, thank you everybody who's joined us today. I've actually just gotten some text asking me if it was going to be recorded, so I think that's a good plan. My name is Amanda Bissell. I am currently on the school board. I'm the acting secretary, and I'm also on the board of Mas Comunidad, who sponsors the town hall, the Penasco town hall. So that seemed like a good forum to host this. So thanks for the candidates for joining. Just some housekeeping. We do ask that you stay muted unless you're talking, just to eliminate any background noise. We're going to have a few questions for the candidates to get things started. And if there's any people who are participating or watching who have a question, you can use the chat function if you know how to use that. There's a Sorry, I have children singing in the background. There's a chat function. You can type your question, or you can raise your hand literally, or use the reaction to raise your hand, and we'll call on folks from the forum to be able to ask questions as well. So with that, I'm going to we'll just start with the first question. And that'll include an introduction from the candidates, and I'm gonna go in last name alphabetical order, so that puts Jason on the hot seat. So Mr. Gonzalez, would you please introduce yourself and let us know why you're running for the school board and what your qualifications are?
Hello, my name is Jason Gonzalez. The reason that I had wanted to run to be a school board member is that I just want to be an active participant in our community that we have. I also have two young daughters that are enrolled in the elementary school. It's my intention to be a straightforward and honest contributor to the school board if I get elected. I've never been in a position of public office before, but I'm excited to be a part of the school district. As for qualifications, I don't know. I mean, I have 2 college degrees. I'm an ICU nurse, and I work at the Presbyterian Hospital in Espanola. I'm always constantly searching for new knowledge, so I'm hoping this will be a fruitful endeavor.
Thank you. Ms. Grant?
Hello, my name is Caroline Grant. I'm interested in running for school board to be an advocate for children and for the community and for parents. I really am interested in helping with any gap that might be in between parents and the school, and just to help students to flourish and continue to grow. And being an educator myself, I'm very interested in students' education as well as their whole well-being. My qualifications, I have a master's in special education. I'm dual licensed in general ed and special ed. I've been an IEP coordinator at the Taos Municipal School District. I earned my administrator license, and let's see, I've also been the IEP coordinator at Taos. Did I say that? I'm a community member. I graduated from Penasco High School in 1985. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucero.
I'm Ernest Lucero. I'm running for Penasco School Board to further our children's educational and extracurricular opportunities, and to try and provide the community a voice on the school board. I just feel there's been a few too many times that the community has spoken out and wasn't listened to. It was just by a few board members, but I feel that needs to change because the community was loud. And qualifications, I've been in IT for the past 20 years. I've ran large projects, multi-million-dollar projects, from project managing to systems implementation. And I've been with the state, and I know how the state works for the last 10 years. So
Thank you, Miss McCauley.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alice McCauley. Everybody knows me as Alicia. I am running for school board because I'm always saying, you know, someone should bring this up to the board. Someone should say this. Someone should tell them this. We need this in the school. So after saying that for so many times, they're like, well, why don't you just run? So I can help be that voice and help bring stuff into the school and hopefully bring it back to what it was, because our school is pretty awesome. It's still pretty awesome, but you know, we can make it what it was before. And as far as qualifications, I have been in education forever. I should actually be a teacher by now. I have long-term subbed for Penasco. I think I did for 3-4 years, a while. I did it both in the high school and the preschool, which were both awesome. And I want to help the kids. And I think with my education background, because I've started with the little kids and then go up to the high school, I want to hear everybody's voice and see what they have, including the teachers, just to be there to help everybody.
Thank you. So something that Mr. Lucero said spurs a question. And so I'm gonna volley it to him, and then everybody else can have a chance at it as well. But the question is, what role should the community play in supporting the education of children? And I'm going to add a second to this is how should community voice and parent engagement be considered by the board? How would that partnership look like to you?
Well, that partnership, it needs to be, there has to be an equilibrium with that, because we can't just listen to one little group of people here and there. The community's been divided for the past few years, and I really feel that needs to be reconstructed and bridge that divide between the division and bring everybody onto an equal playing field for our kids. I still have a daughter in Penasco, and I'm active in the athletics and everything. So I always hear other parents complaining about this and that, like the kids, like even the kids didn't even have a voice. Like half the cross country team feels like they're in prison now with the new fence. And like when it was going up, like everybody was like, well, why are they building the fence? Then like even yesterday, 3 different parents are like, where are the gates? We miss our old gates. And it's just like it's all about promoting for the kids. Like, what do the kids want? Like, were they aware of this? Like, when I'm at the school, I feel the fencing is a security risk because there's no way to exit. So it's just, there's a lot of questions, and I just feel those have to be brought out and into the open and answered. Is that 30 seconds?
No,
Sorry.
I'm gonna start interrupting you guys at 80 seconds, so that way I don't have to interrupt you guys so much. Sorry about that.
Okay. And I just feel like the community has no voice right now. Like, I was pretty active with the school board there for a while, and I haven't been so active. And just like I say, like the community feels like they're not heard. And I just want to help bridge that divide between the community and the school board and administration.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll continue, and then there was a question from the chat that we can just address. It's not a question, just more of a suggestion that when you're talking, instead of being more general, as you know, like just as you or Mr. Lucero saying, you know, there's things that need to be brought out into the open. So being like identifying those specific points, so being just more specific rather than general, because some community members may not be aware, or you know, they don't have kiddos in the school or whatever. So thank you. All right. Caroline, how about you? Why don't you take on that question about community and parent engagement in the school, in this specifically in the school and school, how the school board bridges that gap?
I agree with Ernest that parents really need to be involved with what is going on in the school. For example, getting this town hall meeting ready. I don't know that how advertised it was. I don't know how many of the community actually knew that this was happening. So just maybe some I don't know if that was school board or if that was town hall, but that might be separate. But I think an example of maybe helping that would be a parent teacher association. And I know that one has been brought up before, maybe several times, but parent teacher association has been around since the 1800s, and millions of families and schools and administrators are involved in it. And I think if I were on the school board, I would really like to try to implement that and bring that about, just to have more exposure of what's happening in the school, what's happening in the classroom specifically. And I know a lot of it is maybe more individual teachers letting parents know what's happening in their classroom. But, just bridging that gap between parents and the school.
Thank you, Alice.
So I also think like community is very important with the board. Like, they need to be involved with the school too, because I hear it a lot at my work where they're like, well, what's going on? We don't have kids, so we don't know. And then I work with a lot of older people, so a lot of them are actually wondering about today about the forum. Where was it? Where is it? But a lot of them don't do technology either. So that kind of bridges a lot of it, leaves a lot of people out who aren't technologically advanced. Like, I'm sure we would have had more people if they have access to the internet, they are computer savvy and stuff. But I think they need to be heard more. And as far as the parent teacher committee, I know there's the PAC, but I know they have meetings. There was one like last week. Unfortunately, they have it at 4:00 in the afternoon. Most of us are still at work. So if they wanted more parent involvement, they need to kind of think of the times that we can be more involved. A lot of parents come from Los Alamos. They're not home till 6:30. They come from Espanola, Taos. So the times need to stagger a little bit, just so we can have more parent involvement, invite the public more, put flyers out everywhere. Facebook is a great thing. I kept checking on Facebook to see if I could find the link for this. So just different ways to get everybody involved, because the public does need to be heard. The community needs to be heard. We all need to work together to get this school back together.
Thank you, Jason.
When there are events like the school, like the spring festival or the fall festival and stuff, like where the kids have dances, everybody should come and join and see all the hard work that the kids have done. And not just the kids, but the teachers as well. They put a lot of time and effort into these events. Everybody should show up and see all the hard work that has been done. For like parents and grandparents who are active, they should be actively engaged in their child's education. Coming to the parent teacher conferences and stuff, the literacy nights that they have at the elementary. Parents should be actively participating with their kids' homework, and then urging their kids to like read during their free time. But I do like what Ms. Grant had said about the parent-teacher association. I think that would be a good idea in order to get a larger group of the community involved, to get a voice to the school board.
Thank you. So I think this, we had a question that you guys already addressed about, hearing parent concerns, but I think it's a balance as a school board member between, being available for parent, teacher, community concerns, and also not, overstepping the role. So I'm curious in terms of balancing the role as a school board member and being a community member. If you guys have some thoughts on how you would navigate those types of issues. So let's go to we can just keep kind of going the same way unless somebody's keen to start answering first. But let's go with Mr. Lucero.
So there's a fine balance. What we would have to do is when we're out in person, we do represent the school if we're elected, but also we don't represent the school because we're not the school board. So any ideas that are brought to me, I'd like to put it out to the whole school board to let everybody know so everybody's on the same page. I just feel like communication is key, and it's something that I don't know has been done very well. Like, I know other school board members from other districts, and that's one of the biggest gripes is communication. So that's something I would like to see changed. And a lot of preparation goes into the board meetings. And I've seen, like, I've ran a lot of commissions and boards, and like from the technical aspect, and you see those people that aren't prepared. So that's one thing as a board member is preparation for these meetings. And like I say, providing everything that comes to me, making sure I write it down, whether it's in a
10
notebook or
seconds.
on my phone, and just letting the rest of the board members know.
Thank you. Let's go to Alice on that question.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not like savvy with my microphone. Let's see. What was the question? Sorry.
I can
I
read.
got everything I noticed. Yes, please.
Yeah. So the question is how do you balance being a community member, a
Okay.
parent, and your role on the board and bringing things up to the board and the administration?
I'm like Ernest. It's like you have to work as a team. There's not an I in the team. It's not just you. You don't make a decision by yourself. It's you know, take their advice, take their questions and be like, we're going to bring this up. Let us see what we can do about it. Bring it up to everybody. And yeah, keep it in the notebook, in your phone, or send a text to yourself so know what to ask later. It's just I gotta keep a fine line of where I work, where I school. My time is like very, very, but I'm open up to. I mean, if you come up to me at the dollar store, be like, hey, what do you think about this? Shoot me your idea. We'll have a conversation and be like, I'll see you at the board meeting, or we'll take it to the board and go from there. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it for the board and the school and everybody who goes along with it.
Jason.
Can you repeat the question again? Was it how do we balance being a parent, a board member, and a community member?
Right, just the role of your role as a board member and being in community spaces, right? Because I think it's easy to, if somebody brings a problem to you, to be like, yeah, but I'm on it right now, but that's not necessarily always how we can address issues. So wearing the multiple hats in the community.
As a school board member, we should probably make time for to hear people's concerns. like I said, we wouldn't like, if somebody comes up to me like at the gas station or something and they want to express their concerns, I'm all ears and stuff, and I'll bring it back to the school board meeting, and we can discuss, and the school board members can discuss it and see if there's any options to the issue that was presented. But yeah, we were elected by the community, so we should hear what the community has to say.
Thank you. Ms. Grant.
So, as everyone was talking, I was kind of thinking, what if we had like a flow chart that, you know, that was public, that everyone came up with, the community worked with the school board or the school to come up with a flow chart that had a problem solving flow chart. You know, we usually want problems to be solved at the lowest level. So if there's a problem with, you know, and I know that there's probably a chain of command going on right now with how to solve problems. It may be going to your principal first, and then if it doesn't get solved, they're going to go to the next level. But if there was a chart that was created together with the community and the school, that it's a problem solving chart and everyone understands it, but to be careful that you're not compassionate in saying, like, I like how Jason said, if you're at the gas station and a community member says, hey, you know, I'm having this problem, but still be compassionate about, I understand you have a problem. I'm sorry about that. Let's look at the flow chart and see where we're at in this problem. And there's probably different levels of problems. You know, there's a lower level, mid-level, and a higher level problems
10
that we
seconds.
would solve things together.
Thank you. So I'm sure, as most people know, some school boards throughout the country have been embroiled with different controversial issues that come to them. Everything from mask wearing to curriculum being taught in schools. And so we did want to get into a little bit of that topic. So I guess just to kind of very broadly ask, you know, have any of you of candidates received any donations or endorsements from any special group, a local or national group? And if so, can you share with us what those groups might be or who they are? And if you have been, what those messages are that they have or that you're aligned with that appeals to you and you think is relevant to our school district? And I guess this is if nobody has, then we can move on to a different question. Has anybody received any endorsements? No. Okay. And I guess then to follow up with that is, as a school member, board member, how would you respond to an efforts of a special interest group who's advocating changing an existing curriculum, you know, perceived by them to be in conflict, like with personal beliefs? So that's I don't know if I know that if the school board candidates did have our question, so that's number 12 if you had the list in front of you that I just read off. So let's give this one to Jason to start off with.
I would listen to what their concerns are. I would like to learn more about why they feel that the curriculum isn't meeting their needs, or what their reasoning is behind why the drastic change. If they can make a pretty good argument, then we would discuss it in the school board, amongst the school board members, and then we would make an informed decision based off of some solid information. And hopefully those special interest groups or whatever, they could provide some solid information for us to consider and to in order to persuade us and to change our minds and stuff.
Thank you. Alice.
I think if a group like that came in and was like trying to change a curriculum, it'd be, what would be like, what would be, how would it benefit our school? What would be the, how, what would be the purpose of it? Would it benefit our students? Would it benefit the teachers? Would it improve it? Would it, it's just to, we would listen to them and just see how, what the improvements would be or how it would work. And then make a decision based on that, whether it would help or not.
Carolyn.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, so the question is if there's a special interest group or that wants to change our curriculum, how would you address that? Or if there was, yeah, so no, so it's number 12. If they perceive that our existing curriculum was in conflict with their personal beliefs, how would you address that issue?
Well, I believe that our curriculum should be academics, and we don't want to deconstruct what any beliefs that parents are teaching at home. And so that's one of that is a concern for me as far as curriculum other than academics, which is your essentials. And when we are adding other curriculum to the program, it takes away from our academics. So we would have to, as a board member, decide, is this something that is academic, and is it something that is necessary?
All right, so I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's any questions from any of the folks who have joined us online to listen this afternoon. And if so, we can pause for a community question if there is one, and you can use your chat or raise your hand, whatever is convenient for you. So I'll just wait. I'll offer a little space for that.
I was skipped.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's have you answer that question, and then we can have the community chime in if there's any questions. Sorry about that.
Okay, so my personal beliefs are my personal beliefs, and it's whether the children will get something out of it. Like, I know there's a big thing with CRT lately, and like a lot of people are talking out against it, but like Caroline said, it's about reading, writing, arithmetic. We need to get back to the basics and make sure our kids are career and college ready. So if it helps that, and then we live in a community, like some of these special interest groups really don't have our community's best interests at heart. So they're trying to force stuff on us, but like I say, like, it doesn't matter what my personal beliefs are. It would be whether the children will benefit from it. Now it could break.
All right, is there anybody from the community who would like to chime in with a question? Okay, so we'll keep offering that opportunity. So another question that I'd like to move to, because this has been spoken to a little bit, but is specifically Penasco's board. How can the school board improve? And the question is, it's community image, right? It's how it's perceived by the community. What ideas do you have around that issue? Since we skipped Ernest, I'll start with him this time, so he doesn't get left out again.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, how can the school board of Penasco improve its image in the community?
I really feel the school board needs to be more active in the community. And I was thinking maybe like quarterly town halls. I would say monthly, but I know that's a bit of a stretch since I know the board meetings that I have attended, like the only time there's attendance at the board meetings is when there's an issue within the school, it seems. And I just feel like I know it would be a full board meeting if there's a quorum there. So maybe two members of the school board to go and listen to concerns of the community. And I kind of like what the school is doing with the grant, how they're going. They were in Osarco, they were in Trampas, they've been in Valito, they were at the gym here in Penasco, and just opening the doors to the school for issues and concerns. And we follow the chain of command. If it's with a teacher, just say, hey, teacher so and so, this is what we heard. I'm not saying that this is the truth. There's always three truths, right? So this is what we're hearing. We're not going to take it to your principal or the principal. We're not going to take it to the superintendent, and the superintendent, well, we'd be the school board. So it's just open that line of communication and let everybody just be transparent with each other.
Alice,
Just to be clear, can you repeat it?
how can the school board improve its image in the community?
I think maybe also you need to be seen a lot more like around town or just seen at school events. I've gone to quite a few volleyball games and basketball games in my days, and I see Ernest a lot, and I see like, you know, if you have, it's mostly if you have an athlete, that's when they're there. Or if you know somebody who's playing, it's not just because you were like, hey, there's a volleyball game, let's go. I want more community involvement with not just the games, with the like the street dance that they had the other day, or just school events. And you know, I just think they need to be around and let everybody know, like, hey, we want to hear you. We want to hear what you have to say. And, you know, that way we can take it back to the rest of the board and say, look, this is what's going on. And, you know, they just need a voice. The community needs a voice. I mean, the community needs a voice, so the school members need to be out there so they can hear it.
Caroline,
I think Alice and Ernest had some great ideas. I'm interested in communicating with the community. And so one other thought is, and you know, we would have to see where it would fall under policy within the school board, but I would knock on doors. We could take turns, go 2 by 2 knocking on doors, and that would be in talking to people, just saying, hey, how you doing? You know, we're so and so, good to see you. We just came by to say hi. And you know what, when I was teaching in Penasco, it was a little challenging to get parents into the school because of their jobs, everything. We're in a rural area, so it's hard to get to the school certain times, as we've mentioned. But if we begin to build trust, and that would be showing we care. We care about you. You're not just a face on the street. And I think starting by knocking on doors, be showing up at the basketball games, like Ellis said, and so on. But I think I would love to see if we could pair up and take turns and just go visit the community. That would be a start until the community begins to trust and say, you know what, I'm going to go to this school because I feel like I'm valued, because they probably want to feel, not probably, people want to be valued. So I think that would be a start.
and Jason, wrapping up with you.
I think just emphasizing communication, consistent communication, is really important. I don't know, maybe like a bi-weekly newsletter on issues that are going to be, or just a letter or a Facebook post or something about issues that are going to be discussed that meet that next school board meeting. I think that would be beneficial for to get the community involved and let them know what's actually going on. I do like Alice's idea. We could have our own school board section at basketball games that we could sit at. So we could be a unified front. But that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. So there was a question put in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it. So, and this comes from Carol Miller. Aside from being elected to the Board of Education, how are you as a candidate working to help pass the bond issue? And if you need me to clarify what the bond is right now, I can do that. It's the school's making an effort to pass a bond to increase our property taxes. And those that money earned would be $2.5 million. And that money would be matched by the state by over 30, I think it's almost 33 million, 32.5 million to build a new school. So that's the question. What are you, aside from running for the board, doing to work to help pass the bond? And Jason, you're unmuted, so I'm going to start with you.
Actively, I'm not doing anything to pass the bond. I am in support of it. My girls go to the elementary where some rooms are super hot and some rooms are super cold. So it would be comforting for me as a parent to know that not only my kids, but other kids can have an environment that they, a comfortable environment that they can learn.
Caroline.
Well, as I've been talking to people, as I ask for their support in my candidacy, I have been advised that we're not to try to persuade others of other items on the ballot. So I have personally have not, I've just been saying, giving facts, but I have not been able to say, I've been advised by the county not to go to try to persuade. Attending the bond meetings is one way to support, however.
Thanks for sharing that. I wasn't aware that they would have given that information. So, but I think we'll still continue with the question just to get a sense of where candidates are falling on this issue anyways. Alice.
I'm like Jason, I really haven't pushed it nor not supported it. I'm kind of on the fence with it myself. I'm a new homeowner, so I think about property taxes a lot. Also, because of where I work, I can't talk about it a lot either. So it's kind of on my back burner because that's not my priority right now. It's trying to get students and staff and see from there. But I do agree with Jason that part of the school is freezing cold, the other is burning hot. So definitely something needs to be done, and the bond is a good way, but it's not like, it's how I tell everybody, I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm not telling you what to do. You're your own person, so everybody can decide for their own what's best for them.
Ernest.
I'm also on the fence about it. I've been asked there's been a lot of misinformation on the school bond. People have been asking why the Jicarita gym is going to be torn down. Like, how can the school be rebuilt in 3 months? Like, there's just like a lot of misinformation in regards to this. And but one thing that's been repetitively brought up is our seniors on fixed incomes, and they're questioning, they don't know if they could afford it because they could barely afford to live right now, especially with gas, groceries, and everything else being so high. So like even one of the grandparents at the cross country meet was saying that's like, what happens if I lose my house over this bond? Like, and it's just a real concern for them. Like, I asked in Las Trampas, if this doesn't pass again, if it could be put back on the ballot in June as a 10-year or a 12-year bond instead of being a 4-year bond. So I've had a lot of questions on it, and the finance person from Albuquerque, Aspen Financial, or whatever she was from the school board.
10 seconds.
So just there's still like a lot of issues with the bond in the community, and like I would love for a new school to be built, but it's just at what cost?
And I don't want to turn this into a meeting about the school bond. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there's a lot of information on the school website. There is a calculator where you can see, if you know what your taxable value is, you can put that in and get a sense. The average Penasco home would increase just under $8 a month. So in a year, that's $96 in a year would be the average increase to pass the bond as it stands. So just to get, because I do think there's a lot of misinformation, but that's what the data shows is the average increase. So I think that's important for folks to know when they're because I've heard some people say, oh, it'll be an increase of at least, $1,200, which is not accurate. So I think just having the correct information is really useful. Okay, so I did get a couple of questions from Picuris Pueblo, and I'd like to pivot to those. One question is, why is the Martinez-Yazzie case important to all of us? So I'm gonna go ahead and if you don't know what that is, you could do a quick Google search, or I can let you know. So quite a few years ago, there was a lawsuit against Susana Martinez when she, and the PED under her when she was our governor, and it was brought up from quite a few parents. Yazzie was the name on it, who were all from tribal nations, who were saying they did not think that the needs of their students were being met. It's in our Constitution that everybody receives resources to have an equitable education, and that some schools are under-resourced, and so there's no way that they can ever offer the education that's guaranteed to all students under the state constitution. And this is not just tribal students, this also includes special ed students, students who are called at risk or come from vulnerable communities. Being a rural community is one of those. And so it's really put some pressure behind school districts and the PED to try to provide the resources needed so all students can get the education that's guaranteed to them, at least in the Constitution. So that's it. My Wikipedia might say something else, but that's my understanding, my brief understanding. So the question is, why is that lawsuit, the case, the Martinez-Yazzie case, important to all of us? And is there anybody who'd like to take this first? Okay, then I'm gonna volley it to Caroline.
I was just Googling. And I apologize that I don't know more about it. I don't know if I'm able to pass till I can look up on it, or if someone else knows more about it, that's wonderful maybe they can answer first.
I'm gonna go to Ernest because I can tell Alice is looking something up. So I'm gonna go to Ernest and then we'll go to Jason.
I remember reading about Martinez-Yazzie, and I just feel it's important to everybody just because it does give everybody equal opportunity to education, regardless of where your school level is. Like, I wish we didn't have K through 12 like number grades. I wish it was on levels instead, because there's some 8-year-olds that outperform a 12-year-old, and but that's unfortunately not how education is structured. So it just gives everybody equal opportunity to be career and college ready and hopefully be productive members of our communities.
And so thanks for Ernest. So for this question, I'm gonna, if you would like to speak to it, would any of you like to speak to this? Feel like you have anything to add to the conversation or the topic? Okay. So the other question when I reached out to the Pueblo that they asked was, what does tribal sovereignty mean to you? So I'm going to volley this to Jason.
So culture is really important, especially here in rural New Mexico, especially here in Penasco. I believe that tribal sovereignty is unique in its ability to preserve the tribal cultures and their way of life. It's important for all of us to respect each other's cultures and collaborate for the benefit of the communities, especially for the kids, because that's why we're here, right? Just educating the kids. But yeah, tribal sovereignty is just a way for the tribes to preserve their cultures and their way of life.
Caroline.
So the tribal sovereignty, I believe, is the observance of their culture, of the tribe's culture, and placing that sovereignty means supreme. So placing that above, let's say, I know that when, for example, when I was teaching in Penasco, we knew that because there was a feast, or there was a one of their holidays, I'll call it holidays, it was honored for them to be able to attend what their meetings and their programs, and to provide whatever is needed to support them in that, whether it be another time to teach them what they missed, or giving them or excusing them from, I don't know that as a teacher I would excuse them from the assignment, but giving them the opportunity to make up whatever it is that they missed. And so as far as the students go, I believe that Penasco has been doing a pretty good job of that recently, of
10 seconds.
honoring them in all their culture events.
Thank you. Alice.
I think tribal sovereignty is important just because they keep their culture and traditions alive. And I think we need to support that as a school. And like Caroline said, allow them the days to go and participate or whatever. Also, what was great this year was the whole school got to go participate. So that's also really important. They're including us in their traditions, and it's just important for everybody to know about them.
Ernest.
I would like to echo like what Ellis said. I also supported Mr. McCauley when he brought in the tribe to come and participate in the spring and the Christmas festivals, and they participate by showing us their dances, and I felt that was really great because they're implementing that into the school district, not just us going down, being invited down to the Pueblo, but that's a rich environment, a rich culture that we have, and a lot of places don't have what we have here.
Thank you. So as a current school board member, this is something that I'm interested in, because our school board, we had a superintendent that a previous superintendent who was divisive in the among staff and community members, and the school board members ourselves did not do a great job managing that conflict as a board. We did not do a great job remaining civil at times and being respectful of each other or community members. And I think I personally learned a lot from that and have gained some skills. But it really was, illuminating to me how quickly a board can dissolve when there's something controversial that comes up. And so I would like to ask you all, what's the best way, or what is your method of disagreeing and being civil? And do you have any experience with that? Caroline.
There are a lot of, we teach students this, how to digress and how to have conversations. And there's a lot of, as a, if I get elected, or, I think it's just in general a really good idea to have a dialogue format in place to be able to, a detailed dialogue format in place. And there's a lot of them out there that, you can have even sentence starters to keep the language appropriate and to have a good, mature conversation, and keep the goal and the topic at hand. And when anyone goes off with other information, or information that becomes more personal to that person, there is a way to bring that conversation back. So there's a lot of programs out there to help adults and children have conversations that can lead to, from a root problem to an answer, without going all over the place in a conversation.
Thank you. Alice.
I think if you're having a conversation where you're going to end up in a heated argument, it's better just to agree to disagree. Just keep your comments to yourself until you have both cooled down, or whoever needs to cool down. Kind of simmer it down again, just to like, okay, we can revisit this, just don't drag it on and on and on. Kind of like, damper it down, revisit it if you need to. You got to remember that everybody's an adult. We need to all talk to each other like adults. And also kind of think you're talking to yourself. So you kind of want to treat others like you want to be treated. So if someone's screaming at me, I'm not going to like scream back at them. Or if they're telling me their opinion saying I'm wrong, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. And probably back in the day, I would have, but I've learned to like calm myself down and be like, look, this is what we got to do. So kind of got to talk to yourself and just, agree to disagree sometime. And at the end of the day, you all got to face each other the next time. So you got to get along sometimes.
Thank you. Ernest.
I would agreeing to disagree is a very good point. I usually one of the people that have to deal with difficult people. Being in IT, there's a lot of difficult people out there, and sometimes they just don't want to do work, or they don't want to do this or that, so they blame it on us, and people try taking their anger out on us because we're the ones interacting with them at the time they're having the issue. So my dog's wanting to give her 2 cents too. So like I say, just I think maybe like having everybody on the board write out what they're wanting to get out, and I just think when it's on paper, it's a lot easier to digest than just arguing back and forth, and that that dissolves the tension between what's going on, because I was one of those community members that the board, well, not the whole board, just individuals of the board was dismissing because they said, oh, your petition is online, they're not people of the community. And then when we got boots on the ground and we started going door to door to people, getting support for the change that we wanted, oh, well, they don't have parents, they're not parents of the school district, they're stakeholders, so they're taxpayers. They are who the board represents. And that's just something I know I don't want to feel again. So I know community members wouldn't want to feel that way either.
Thank you. Jason?
We're all adults. We have to remember that, especially when our passions rise. We need to be respectful of everyone's opinions. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even if we don't agree with it. We need to be able to respond and not react. Yeah, I think a lot of it's already been said, but it's always, we have to remember to just be adults and respond, not react.
Thank you. So I know we talked about keeping this about an hour, so I'm going to just check in and see if there's any questions from community members out there. If so, please raise your hand or just type it in the group chat. And while we're waiting to see if anybody has that, I think, you know, the purpose of school boards is to give community voice to local schools, and those part of that community voice is definitely are the students, right? And so there's a sample question that you all received, and so just thinking about the students, suppose a group of students want to form a gay-straight alliance and their principal denies the application, fearing it will be too controversial. The students contact you. What would you do? What should the administration do? So I'm gonna go to Jason.
I would be willing to hear them out as to why they want to form this group. Is it because they just want to form a group so they're included in something? If they really want, and then what's their purpose of the group as well? What are their intentions of doing with the group? But as far as if the principal feels that it's not, if it'll be too controversial, I think then that's when that's why it's a group of board members and not a single person making the final decision. We would come together, have a discussion, and see if it's something that don't have any ramifications for the parties involved and for the other kids. We don't want people to be made fun of. We don't want to make school traumatizing.
Okay, thank you. Alice.
I'm like Jason, I would ask him like, what would be the purpose of this? Who would it benefit? What is the point? Are you doing it just for recognition? And, you know, speak with the principal too, like why, what, you know, have everybody get together and talk about it and be like, okay, what was the point? What is their point in forming this? Why are you supporting or not supporting it? And also don't leave the decision up to one person. Like Jason said, it should be more than one person as a group, as the board, or whoever needs to be making the decision to do it, not just the one person.
Thank you. Caroline.
I would ask the question, what is a gay straight alliance? I'm not sure what that is. And as we were talking about earlier, as far as chain of command, if the principal denies the application, that would probably, if we were to say, okay, well, in this case, we're saying that that chain of command is shouldn't be it, or it should be broken, meaning we don't follow that chain of command, then all other issues that come up, we would be aborting the chain of command. I don't know if that makes sense, that we need to stick to the standard. And if the principal has the reasons, valid reasons, they're in the school and they know what is happening, then I think we need to stick to the chain of command.
Thank you. Ernest.
So I would ask them if maybe they want to rename it to the Everybody Alliance, because that's kind of it's I wouldn't see a problem with that. Like, and I'd want to go take it back to the principal and let them know that this is an issue that's out in the public, and it really, like, it and like Jason says, maybe they're just trying to get a rile out of people. Like, we need to know what the purpose is of it, and not just go let the students do anything they want. And you guys are the teachers and principals are there as educators and to regulate the students. So students can't just go and do whatever they want sometimes, and it's a matter of life. Sometimes you get denied for things, so maybe this would just be a hard lesson learned for them. But I would be open to listening to them, see what their side of the story is, and see why it can't be done.
10 seconds.
Thank you. So I'll just put it out again to the rest of the folks. If there's a question you'd like to ask, please chat in. But I think we'll just, if there's nothing else that's going to come in, we can wrap it up, or or I don't know if there was a question that from the list that we emailed you all, if there was one that you were excited to answer, and if so, I would give you the opportunity to speak to that. And if not, I would just ask that you kind of close with a message of what you think you would bring to the school board, what you think you would, something that you're really excited about and looking forward to, and maybe a challenge that you're wanting to address. And something, if you have something in mind, that a challenge you'd like to address currently. Okay. Let's start with Alice.
Well, I think I'm excited just to be on, if I get elected to school board, just so I can be able to have a voice, so that we can try to get it to be a great school where, I mean, it is a great school, but be a better school for our kids, and just to be a voice for parents, for the students, and share my ideas. And I just want to be out there. I feel like I have a big mouth, and I feel like I have a lot to say. So I feel like being on school board would be a way to do that.
Jason.
Like I said, when I introduced myself, I have this would be my first time being an elected public official, so I'm looking forward to the opportunity. The first year or so, I plan to do a lot of listening and learning. But what I would like to emphasize is that we, as a board member, that we do effective communication and consistent communication. So that way the school board and the community members are aware of what's going on and what we plan on doing.
Thank you. Ernest.
I would like to echo just clear and concise communication. When I was in high school, I remember I went to Poake and to Espanola, and I just remember hearing Penasco this, Penasco that. Even kids in Poake were wanting to come to Penasco because it was such a great school. They offered a lot of trades. They offered a lot of extracurricular activities. I remember people here in the community taking keyboarding classes, like adults taking keyboarding classes, like in the 90s, early 2000s, and those are all things that the school needs to reinforce as community. The community, the schools asking the community to pass a bond to build a new school, but what are we offering to the community? And one thing that I had echoed a lot yesterday was, well, now we can't even walk on the track anymore. The gates are locked. And I wasn't aware of that. So makes sense, but I thought maybe there was a side gate, or I remember you used to be able to walk through that little thing where the sign was to come walk in the school in the evenings. And obviously I haven't walked at the school since this summer, but
10 seconds.
the school is a place for the community, and just reiterate a strong educational background for our students so they are ready for the real world.
Thank you. Caroline.
So by the research shows that by the age of 18 or the age of 13, excuse me, many individuals develop their view of the world by that age, and they're in our hands. And so I would love for children, teachers, the community to feel valued, to feel like they're a part of this community, a part of something good. And we want to have children and the community to have hope for the future. So I would love to be a part of that in helping children see that there is good, and to view things. I know that the world isn't always good, but to have a view that there is hope for their future, and not to think that things are going to be destitute, or why try, because things are so terrible right now. Why try when there is hope for the future? And I would love to be a part of helping them see that.
Thank you. Well, thank you all very much for taking the time to join us this evening. Also, thank you for showing an interest in the school and the school district, and being willing to put your name out there. I know it can put you in a vulnerable position sometimes, and there's a lot that goes along with it. So I think competitive school board races, not just school board, but all elected positions are important, right? Because then when there's more choices, the community gets more choice. So thank you guys for being willing to run and for joining us this evening. Thanks for everybody who came on to listen. I did record this, so I'll ask Miguel Angel to post it on social media. I know the journalism class asked me if I would share it with them, so I'll be sharing it with them as well. And of course, if anybody has some other ideas on where to share this, please let me know, and I'll go ahead and do that. So thank you all again, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.